Inch.
An inch?
Literally.
Alright boys, today we're going to be making a license plate relocation for 65 cents at Lowe's. Alright, so we just have one of those outlet cover plates. We bend it in half. We're going to mount it to these two here in the front. So we're just measuring these out. They're an inch apart, so we're going to drill the two holes. And then we're actually going to use this bracket here. We're going to take this off and mount it to that plate. Alright, well I'm probably just going to put this at the beginning of the video instead of the part that we had there, coming to you from the future. We bent it in half and the light didn't clear it, so we're bending as little as we possibly can. That way we have enough hanging down so that the light can clear it this time. Perfect. Alright, so after you bent your cover in half, drilled the two holes. We actually mismeasured the first time. It's 1 1/4 inches. And then we have to get this bracket off. There's two nuts behind this little fender here, so we're actually just going to pop this whole thing out. That way we can get to them easier. So after you take these two off and you take the same two off on the other side, it should just pop right out. But be careful though, because you do have this wire here for your light. Alright, so to free up this wire here, it's kind of held in. So you got these two Phillips here, and then that should pop right out. Alright, so I just got done removing the two nuts and bolts that went through the fender into the bracket, and found out license plate light can't make it back through the fender, so we're going to have to cut this little piece out so we can slip the light bulb back through, so we can reroute it up to the top. So I was trying not to use a Dremel and use some dikes, but because of this lip right here, you can't fit into that lip. So I'm about to just get a Dremel, cut along the top, and just kind of like wiggle it back and forth until that thing comes out. Alright, I think you can see it there. Yeah, I just made a little slice at the top. I bent the wire backwards when I cut it. That way you don't cut your wire. And then I'm just going to use a little flathead, try to break that piece out. Alright, so the first one didn't work, so I just came from the outside, cut a little box out. I'm just going to pop it out with a screwdriver, and then hopefully this will be big enough. Hopefully this works now. Look at that. Alright, next step in the process, we're going to have to drill these two holes, which will be pretty easy because we can just line this up. Right with that, use a marker on the back side, and then that'll be lined up perfect. Unlike the first one where we had to kind of measure it, because we couldn't put a marker through there. Before I do that though, just to make sure I don't have any clearance issues, I'm going to put this light back on. I don't think I showed it the first one. This little piece just pops right out of that hole. Alright, so there's a little zip tie holding this wire in right here.
And it clips.
So we're just going to back this wire out, that way we can run it in a way that you don't really see it, doesn't get caught on anything. Alright, so I'll leave this part up to you. What we're thinking about doing is zip tying it back to the frame there, popping this little plastic piece and running it out, drilling a hole somewhere in here, and then that way it's nice and clean, you don't really see it. But if you don't want to drill a hole in your plastics, I'm sure you could
run it up like that.
Yeah, run it something like that into the bracket, kind of like tie it up behind it maybe if you wanted to. I'm not sure, but I want it to look clean. Alright, so honestly, the more I get into this, the more you should probably just run it underneath. We took out every single bolt from the bottom. We got up here, you actually have to take out the two ECU bolts because they go through to the bottom plastic. And then we're seeing these. Yeah, I think you can kind of see it. I'll put an arrow in the video. You can kind of see it down there. There's two more nuts down there on the bottom as well you got to hold. Alright, so I definitely recommend having two people for that last one, but then this whole battery tray comes down and this is how we're going to run it up through. There is a plate here in the back that I might actually have to cut because once it goes up, it like totally seals everything off. We're just using some dikes and we're just cutting away at it. You're not going to see it, so don't worry about making it pretty. We just need a hole for the wire to run up through. Alright, so from this angle you can kind of see if it focuses. Yeah, that little notch right there, that's all we took out of it. The wire's thin, so you don't need much. And then it's just going to run up behind all these bolts, and we're going to drill a hole here now while it's easy and send the light bulb down through.
On the vid.
Yeah. So we have this bracket up here that those 4 bolts go into, so you are going to have to drill the hole pretty decently far back the way it fits. I don't even know what size this drill bit is. It's big and it just like barely popped through. It is rubber, so you don't have to be like bigger than the light bulb, and you don't want water coming up in here, so the smaller the better. I might silicone that shut as well. So I should have filmed this before I put in the ECU, but it just runs up through behind all of these screws, and we ran it underneath the ECU, and then it comes straight down right here. Alright, so I'm not even going to try to get the camera angle down in there, but the two that were a pain in the ass to get out are not going back in. It's not lining up, even though every single other screw in here has lined up. So we're going to say f it and leave them out. Everything's still secured. I noticed that I don't think I filmed taking off the seat, but rear one, two screws right here. And there's this little plastic clip slips in here. And so after you slip in the plastic clip, put in those two bolts. The front one's real easy, doesn't have any bolts. So we have the clip up there, and it's got to slide in to this little bracket. And then to pop the seat off, you just put your key in there. They put a blue ring on a green bike. Go BENELLI. But yeah, you just turn your key and the seat will pop off.
Oh yeah, it'll work.
Plenty of clearance.
Not we can move it down like that.
Yeah, we'll probably put it down as far as possible. Yeah, the first time we bent it in half and the light hit up here. So you're going to want to bend that little teeny weeny bit, just enough to bolt it up in those two holes. I actually got the top two and the bottom two drilled up. Just got to install the bracket again. And at this point, optional. I want it to look clean. So I'm going to cut off these stupid side reflectors that it has. Alright, we're on the last stretch here. We just painted it all the same black color, clear coated it, waited for it to dry. That's what the final product. Alright, so how the stock configuration worked was there's this little back plate, and then the screw went into that there. This no longer fits on there, as well as the plate doesn't have any access from the back. I mean, we could drill a hole and then cut this up, blah blah blah. That's too much work. So we're just using a machine screw, and that's going to go through where the Phillips used to, if it focuses. There we go. Yeah, so that's just going to be a machine screw, and then we have a nut on the back, and that's going to hold our light up for us. We also tucked the wire in between the two bolts back here. There is a little bit of a space in there, as well as the wire being super thin, so you're not going to pinch it or anything. And then all the excess wire that would have been hanging down, we just tucked up into the hole. You just keep pushing it, it finds a place to go. Alright boys, just like that. 65 cents, a machine screw if you even want to count that. I think the website, I found one website that had it, and it was $80. We did this shit for $1. Alright guys, so this is just the first mod that's been done to it. I just bought it literally 3 days ago. Stay tuned, subscribe for more if you guys want to see some stuff like this.
I was in the clouds, always looking down.